All right, let's get ready for a deep dive into something you might not expect. Adhesives, sealants, and construction chemicals. You've got it.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about Pidilite Industries, the company behind the super well-known, iconic Vivical brand.
Yeah.
Pretty much the glue in India,
The
right?
glue of choice for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And get this, you've provided us with their press release, their investor presentation, and the auditor's report.
Wow. The whole shebang.
Yeah. A real sticky situation you've given us.
Yeah.
So let's peel back the layers and see what's really going on with this company.
Sounds fascinating. A smart move to look at all three documents together, right?
Oh, yeah.
Gives us a more complete picture of their financial health and where they're headed strategically.
Exactly. And the first thing that just pops out is their revenue growth.
Yeah.
9.3% year on year.
That's impressive.
That's big, right?
Yeah.
Especially with all this talk of subdued demand out there.
Right.
They seem to be finding a way to, stick to their growth plan.
Yeah. How are they doing that?
I know. So what's really interesting is how that growth breaks down.
Okay.
Their business-to-business segment, we're talking B2B here, they saw a 21.7% volume increase.
Wow.
That's huge. So it's not just consumers buying, Favicol at the store. They're also tapping into these larger scale projects.
Yeah, industrial construction.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Big stuff. Okay. So just so we're all on the same page, Pidilite divides their business into two main segments, right?
Right.
We've got Consumer and Bazaar, C&B, and then our B2B. For our listeners out there who maybe aren't familiar, can you give us some examples of the products in each segment?
Sure, yeah. So in the C&D segment, you've got your classic Fevicol, the tubes and bottles.
Yeah.
But it also includes sealants, art supplies, even specialized construction chemicals, but like tailored for DIYers and smaller projects.
Yeah.
Think like what you'd find at a typical hardware store.
Okay, so the glue stick I use for my crafting,
Yeah.
that's C&B.
Exactly, that's C&B. Now, B2B is different. It's all about the big stuff, the industrial applications.
All right.
So heavy-duty adhesives, resins, construction chemicals designed for, like, really demanding jobs. Think skyscrapers, bridges, massive infrastructure.
Got it. So regular glue stick versus, like, the stuff holding an airplane together.
Yeah, good analogy.
Yeah.
And that difference in scale, it helps explain why B2B is growing so much faster.
Yeah.
21.7% versus 7.3% for C&B. Could be a lot of things driving this, like maybe increased infrastructure spending.
Yeah.
Or a certain industry bouncing back.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so even though C&B is growing a bit slower this quarter, it's still their main thing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
C&B is still the heart of their business.
Yeah.
Makes up the vast majority of their revenue, around 82.5%.
Okay.
So B2B is exciting, definitely.
I'm fine.
But we can't forget Pidilite's bread and butter.
Right, the stuff we see every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyday adhesives.
Now, this 5-year performance by business segments chart,
Yeah.
it shows B2B steadily becoming a bigger slice of their business.
Hmm.
Is this like a strategic shift for them towards B2B?
It's possible. It's worth thinking about. Maybe they see more growth potential in that sector, more profitability. I mean, India is investing heavily in infrastructure, industrial development.
Makes sense. Okay. Let's zoom out a bit. Look at Pidilite globally. Their press release says their subsidiaries in India, they're seeing double-digit growth. Margins are improving.
That's good news for them.
It is, but their international subsidiaries, not counting the U.S. and Brazil, they saw more modest growth.
Right.
Global economic uncertainty, inflation, political instability, they mention all of that. It's a good reminder. Even a company like Pidilite, well-established, they're not immune to what's happening in the world.
Right, for sure. Global headwinds, everyone's feeling it to some degree.
Yeah, but, they do have a pretty impressive global reach. They have manufacturing facilities in Thailand, Dubai, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Kenya.
Really?
Yeah, they're clearly not limiting themselves to India.
Interesting. Expanding their reach. Makes you wonder how they tailor their approach for different regions.
Exactly. And when we look at the overseas subsidiaries performance slides, there are definitely some regional variations.
Yeah.
For example, their Middle East and Africa region, they saw a 7% sales growth in Q3.
Okay.
But Asia, only 5%. And their EBITDA margins are different too, so it seems they're dealing with, unique challenges and opportunities in each market.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You can't have a one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world.
Right. So even though the overall international picture might seem a bit, subdued,
Yeah.
there are some bright spots in there.
Definitely. Got to zoom in to see the full picture.
Okay. Let's move past just the numbers for a sec. Pidilite isn't just sitting around, right? They're investing. They're actively planning for their future growth.
Okay.
The press release talks about brand building, upgrading manufacturing facilities, expanding that distribution network.
Smart. Got to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah. They're not just thinking short term.
No, long game. Definitely.
And it's not just about, like, physical expansion, right? They're putting a lot of money into innovation, too.
Oh, that's great. R&D is so important.
Right. And their investor presentation really emphasizes this.
How so?
Especially in the CMB and B2B segments, new product development is key for them.
I wonder what they're cooking up in those labs.
Right, I know. They don't go into specifics, but we do know they have a pretty big R&D budget. 5 centers in India, 1 in Singapore.
Wow, they're serious about it.
That's a real commitment to staying ahead of the game, you know?
Absolutely. You have to in this day and age.
Yeah.
Everything's changing so quickly.
So MD Farhat Puri, he expressed cautious optimism about the rest of the fiscal year.
Cautious, huh?
Yeah, he mentioned things like a good monsoon season, increased construction activity. Makes you think, though, what challenges could they face? Reaching those growth targets.
It's a fair point. Things change quickly. It's unpredictable. Like you said, he's cautiously optimistic.
Exactly. And that's what makes looking at a company like Pidilite so interesting.
I know. It's not just the numbers, it's the whole picture.
Yeah, understanding the bigger market forces, how those might impact their path.
Exactly. And their success so far, it suggests they're good at navigating that, you know?
Yeah. Adapting, innovating, key to success these days. Okay, so we've covered a lot, from impressive growth to investments, potential challenges.
Yeah, good overview.
But before we go any deeper into the financials, I want to leave our listeners with a question.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Pidilite is killing it. But what does that tell us about the bigger picture?
Interesting question.
About the market trends in India? Are they just riding a wave everyone's on, or is there something special about their approach?
That's what we need to figure out. Yeah, that's a really good question. I bet that's what analysts are trying to figure out right now.
I bet so.
Pidilite's doing well, especially B2B.
Right.
It could mean that the whole economy is recovering, especially in those areas, construction and infrastructure. Remember, the Indian government has been pushing infrastructure development like crazy.
Yeah.
So that could be boosting demand for those B2B products, you know.
Right. But then there's Bharat Puri's comment.
About
Subdued demand. If they're feeling that, are other companies in similar markets feeling it too? Are people just spending less? Are businesses holding back on projects?
it makes you think.
Yeah. Maybe Pidilite's success isn't about the overall market. Maybe it's them, their strengths.
Like what?
Their brand is so strong, everyone knows Vivical, and their distribution network is huge. Plus, they're always innovating, new products. Could be a combination of things.
It's a good point. It's all about competitive advantage. Even if the market is tough, the companies with the strong brands, efficient operations, you know, they can still come out on top. Pidilite's been around for a long time. They get the Indian market. And that R&D focus, constantly innovating, it all adds up.
Exactly. And that's why the auditor's report is so helpful. It shows they have a really solid foundation. Consistent profits, healthy cash flow, strong working capital. All of that gives them the flexibility to invest, to innovate, to ride out the storms.
For sure. Strong financials are like a safety net. You can make bold moves, like acquisitions or expansions, when others might hesitate.
Speaking of acquisitions, the auditor's report mentions Pidilite just bought 100% of Pargro Investments.
Pargro.
An NBFC. Sounds like a strategic move.
To do what?
Expand into providing credit solutions within their existing network.
It's like they're going beyond just selling products.
Right.
Becoming more of a full-service provider, meeting all sorts of customer needs.
So they're not just offering glue and sealants anymore. They could actually become a financial partner to businesses.
Yeah, build those relationships even stronger, open up new revenue streams. That's clever.
It really shows how adaptable they are. Thinking ahead. It's a good lesson for anyone, really. In today's world, you got to be agile, think outside the box, and be ready to expand your horizons. Pidilite's a great example of that.
Absolutely. Adaptability. Key takeaway for our listener.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen Pidilite's financials are strong. They're investing, making acquisitions, but there's one more thing we need to talk about. Sustainability.
Yeah.
It's huge these days, right?
For investors and consumers, yeah. War Materials don't get into specifics about their initiatives. But a quick look at their website and you see it. Responsible manufacturing, reducing environmental impact, social responsibility, it's all there.
Makes sense. A lot of companies, especially in manufacturing, chemicals are realizing sustainability isn't just a nice bonus. It's essential for the long term.
Absolutely. It can attract investors who care about those ESG factors, improves their brand image. It could even open doors to new markets. For a company like Pidilite, with so many products tied to construction, it makes sense to be in line with sustainable building practices.
Definitely. People are more aware now than ever before about the impact their choices have on the planet. And
Yeah.
they want to support companies that are trying to do the right thing.
Exactly. So even though we don't have all the details in these documents, it's safe to say Pidilite is factoring sustainability into their overall strategy.
I would agree.
So we've looked at their strong performance, explored their investments and acquisitions, touched on their commitment to sustainability. It's obvious Pidilite is doing more than just surviving. They're flourishing.
For sure. They've shown they can adapt. They're resilient, forward-thinking. That's what puts them in a position for continued success.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought. A little whimsical this time.
Oh, like whimsical.
We talked about Pidilite as a leader in adhesives. What if they took that expertise, and I mean literally, to help build the homes of the future?
Homes of the future, huh?
Yeah. I mean, imagine like Fevicol-infused concrete or self-adhesive building blocks.
Wow, that's pretty out there.
I know, right? Or what if they, I don't know, developed super strong, eco-friendly adhesives, like really revolutionized construction?
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Imagine buildings you can assemble and take apart easily. Less waste, circular economy. Pidilite wouldn't just be sticking things together, they'd be like building a better world.
A more sustainable world. Adaptable. It's a cool vision.
Right.
And it actually fits with some of the trends we're seeing. Prefabrication, modular construction, the push for sustainable building. And knowing Pidilite, they like to innovate. It's not impossible.
Exactly. So yeah, we've been focusing on their current performance, their strategies. But it's fun to think bigger. Maybe someday, thanks to Pidilite, we'll all be living in these like Fevical-powered eco-homes.
It's powered. I love it. And they could adapt as our needs change.
Right. So cool. So next time you grab a tube of Fevicol, think about it. It's not just glue. It's a piece of a company that's pushing the boundaries, shaping the future.
And that's definitely something worth sticking with. This deep dive has been great. I'm sure our listeners will be keeping an eye on Pidilite.
For sure. Until next time, happy sticking.